On February 16, 2026, the Miami Dolphins didn't just release Tyreek Hill, they signaled the end of an era. Within a single hour, 4 veterans were gone: Tyreek Hill, Bradley Chubb, James Daniels, and Nick Westbrook-Ikhine. 60 minutes reshaped the entire direction of the franchise. More than $56 million in salary cap space was cleared almost instantly, swinging the team from roughly $17.4 million over the projected cap to about $13 million under it. This wasn't a minor adjustment or routine off-season housekeeping. It was a controlled demolition. And as shocking as the move itself was, what truly caught people off guard was Hill's reaction. Hill's release alone saved Miami approximately $22.8 million for the 2026 season, but the bigger number hanging over everything was the $120 million extension he had signed after being traded from the Kansas City Chiefs in 2022. That deal, which required Miami to surrender a first-round pick, a second-round pick, 2 fourth-rounders, and a sixth-round pick, was supposed to be the final piece of a championship-caliber offense. An additional $11 million in guarantees was about to vest, and the Dolphins acted before that deadline hit. Officially, the organization cited a failed physical as part of the reasoning. Financially, the explanation was simpler and colder. Hill carried a $51.1 million cap hit entering 2026. For a team pivoting into a full rebuild, that figure was impossible to justify. This was the first major statement from new general manager John Eric Sullivan, hired after a disappointing 7-10 season in 2025, and the dismissal of head coach Mike McDaniel. Jeff Hafley was brought in to lead the sidelines, but Sullivan made it clear that this wasn't a minor retool. This was a reset. The Dolphins had not won a playoff game since 2000. 26 seasons of frustration had passed through multiple coaches, quarterbacks, and front offices. Splashy trades and record-setting contracts had generated headlines, but not postseason victories. At some point, something had to give. When Miami acquired Hill in March 2022, the vision was obvious. Pair his generational speed with Tua Tagovailoa's timing and accuracy and McDaniel's creative system, and the result would be explosive, unstoppable offense. The early returns validated every gamble. In 2022, Hill delivered 119 receptions for 1,710 yards and 7 touchdowns. In 2023, he elevated even further, posting 119 catches again, leading the league with 1,799 yards and scoring 13 touchdowns. He earned consecutive All-Pro honors and became the most feared deep threat in football. His speed altered defensive geometry. Safeties cheated before the snap. 5-yard slants turned into breakaway touchdowns. Yet despite the fireworks, Miami could not escape the wild-card round. In January 2024, they were eliminated by the Chiefs, Hill's former team, before their playoff momentum ever took hold. The decline began subtly. In 2024, Hill's numbers dipped to 81 receptions, 959 yards, and 6 touchdowns. He played through a torn ligament in his wrist against medical advice, compromising grip strength and ball security. The routes that once ended with effortless separation began to look contested. Defenses adjusted, sitting on intermediate throws and daring the Dolphins to win differently. Then, on September 29, 2025, against the New York Jets, everything changed. Hill went down awkwardly and immediately knew something was wrong. A dislocated left knee, torn ACL, meniscus damage, and a torn patellar tendon ended his season after just 4 games. His 2025 stat line closed at 21 catches, 265 yards, and 1 touchdown. In 2 seasons, he had gone from leading the league with 1,799 yards to barely appearing on the stat sheet. He turned 32 on March 1, 2026, and for a speed-dependent receiver coming off multi-ligament knee reconstruction, the questions grew louder. Yet Hill didn't respond the way many expected. There was no silence, no cryptic social media messages, no public bitterness. Within hours of the news breaking, he posted a detailed message thanking the Dolphins organization, his teammates, and the fans. He described the chapter as one that taught him leadership and resilience. Then his tone sharpened. The cheetah doesn't slow down. Ever. He promised he was fully locked in and signed off by saying he would be born again. Later, during a Twitch stream, he joked, "I got fired on my day off," referencing the movie Friday. The humor carried weight. It suggested a man processing disappointment but refusing to collapse under it. For the first time in his 10-year NFL career, Hill was an unrestricted free agent. In Kansas City and Miami, his destination had always been dictated by trade terms and contract extensions. Now, the choice belonged to him. The injuries that accumulated over the years, the sternum fracture in 2019, recurring hamstring strains, quad issues, heel bruises, ankle sprains, the torn wrist ligament, and finally the catastrophic knee injury had gradually eroded the aura of invincibility that once defined him. Still, when he spoke about the moment his knee gave out, he described laughing when he saw his leg bent unnaturally. His grandmother ran onto the field and kissed him as he lay there. He smiled. Even in that moment, he framed the experience as something that brought his journey full circle. Off the field, Hill's career has always carried complexity. Past legal troubles, investigations, civil lawsuits, and highly publicized incidents have followed him at every stop. Some cases resulted in no charges, others were settled privately. The most recent divorce filings contained serious allegations that Hill has denied and characterized as financially motivated. The NFL's personal conduct investigation remains ongoing, and no criminal charges have been filed related to the latest claims. The Dolphins never publicly linked off-field issues to his release. They pointed to the failed physical and the financial flexibility. But in a rebuild, organizations don't just evaluate performance and cap space. They consider identity, culture, and long-term direction. Hill's departure was part of something bigger. Bradley Chubb, once signed to a 5-year, $110 million extension, also carried a massive cap hit. James Daniels had missed most of the previous season with injury. Westbrook-Ikhine never found a consistent role. Miami had become a roster heavy with expensive bets that hadn't delivered postseason success. The franchise chose to reset rather than continue patching cracks in the foundation. Across the league, few teams made moves of this magnitude. Contenders trimmed depth, others fine-tuned around established cores. Miami alone executed a full teardown. And now the speculation begins. A reunion with Kansas City? A pairing with Josh Allen in Buffalo? A fresh start with a contender needing speed? Even after the injuries, even after the decline, Hill's skill set still commands attention. Speed of that caliber rarely disappears completely. It adapts. The Dolphins, meanwhile, begin again. They are betting that financial flexibility and cultural reset will succeed where star power did not. Tyreek Hill's time in Miami was electric, polarizing, explosive, and unfinished in many ways. A $120 million dream dissolved into cap relief and uncertainty. But if his reaction is any indication, he doesn't view this as the end. He views it as a transition. Whether that belief becomes redemption or simply a closing chapter will depend on what comes next. For now, the cheetah says he isn't done, and the league is watching to see if he's right.